Hello everyone, this is ICBs here and today we are talking about Captain America Brave New World. And yeah, I am just finished watching this movie because I hadn't watched it before. Honestly, I tried sitting down and watching it before, but I couldn't get past the first 8 minutes. And the reason why I didn't watch it because I felt like it wasn't going to be a good movie, so I just didn't really bother with it. I mean, I saw so many reviews, and all the reviews were unanimously saying that it was a bad movie. And surprisingly, for the first time, if you would see on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, they also said that it wasn't a good movie. So you had audience and you had, critical reviewers, professional websites saying the same thing. So it was no surprise that I just felt like skipping this movie because I just didn't really want to put myself through a tough time. But seeing as I am a reviewer on YouTube mostly covering Marvel and DC stuff, so I thought, hey, you know what, like I have nothing else to do, I may as well watch this movie. And boy, oh boy, yeah, this was definitely surprising, and I have so many conflicting feelings about this thing. And honestly, walking into this movie, I had very, very low expectations, because obviously everyone said that this was a really shit movie. So I walked into this movie with shit expectations. Oh my god, I haven't even been moving anything on the screen. You've been seeing the same thing. So I'm sorry. So yeah, I was talking about expectations. So I walked into this movie with really bad expectations, right? So it was definitely surprising for me to find out that this movie was slightly better than shit. I mean, honestly, I am going to say that I didn't had too much of a bad time watching this movie. Obviously, there were times when you see some characters in a room talking to another. That felt like the most boring thing ever. I mean, if you compare anything in from this movie to any of the older Marvel movies where you would have characters in a room and talking, that felt really great in, you could say, Captain America Civil War. Like, kept two people talking in those movies was interesting. But in this movie, it just feels like it's padding for time, like nothing interesting is happening on the screen. So those parts of this movie were really painful for me to watch because, like I was like, what the hell? He really hate this thing. But every time, Sam put on his suit and he was like, you know what, I'm going to do some action stuff. That felt good. And even though this is a really flagship Marvel movie, it is supposed to be on par with, you could say, Captain America Civil War. Obviously, it's not as good, but in Marvel's mind, they put in the same level of effort. Like, this is Marvel's flagship movie, no doubt about it. But it doesn't feel like a flagship movie. I mean, if you look at the CGI, it's not as good when you think about it. Like, whenever you see General Ross towards the end of the movie transforming into a Red Hulk, I shit you not, it felt like a scene from a Looney Tunes show with his finger popping and, growing bigger. And the reason why I say that the CGI budget doesn't feel like it was all the way up there because you don't see General Ross transforming into the Hulk. You just see General Ross, grunting and huffing and puffing, and then he would go down, and then the camera pans back to him, and now you see Red Hulk. And when he goes out of that Red Hulk state, when Sam talks him out of it towards the end of the movie, you only see his shadow shrinking because I think it was really difficult for them to do that. I mean, when I think about Mark Ruffalo transforming into the Hulk in the Avengers movie when he says, I'm always angry, like that was such an epic moment, and you see him transform in front of your eye and it doesn't look odd. That's the thing that I'm talking about. Like, it felt so natural. The thing that it could be done back in 2012 and not today. It's very surprising that this is supposed to be a flagship Marvel movie and they weren't able to do that. And if I'm being honest, like I said, I didn't had too much of a bad time with this movie, and I see a lot of people giving shit to Sam's Captain America, that he was able to go against General Ross as the Red Hulk, and he was able to survive that, and he was able to fight. Like, I just want to like point out that it wasn't a fight. To be all honest, it was a brutal takedown. It was a genocide, to be honest. When Sam went against Red Hulk, it wasn't a fight. It was very one-sided. Like, Sam was doing his best to avoid not getting literally murdered. So yeah, like, I do see a lot of criticism for Sam being able to go against Red Hulk. Like, he didn't, like, he was barely surviving, and of course he has the Wakanda's prepared suit for him. So yeah, I'm just going to restart the trailer. I am that lazy. Yes, I am that lazy if you're watching this thing for the first time. Okay, so where was I? So Sam had this suit prepared from Wakanda, and we've seen this thing happen before in the first Black Panther movie, when Black Panther is able to absorb any hit that he's taken, and then he's able to repel those hits back. So we see the same thing happen. Like, the only one hit that Sam is able to get on General Ross's Red Hulk that's very significant and very powerful is his own punches. Like, all Sam did, all that's very difficult to say. All Sam did was repel the energy stored from Ross's Red Hulk's punches back to him, and that was the only attack that Sam did that put significant amount of damage on him. And even then, like, Red Hulk was back up, like, he was ready to go until Sam didn't talked him down. And honestly, that was all Sam could do. Like, he could only talk down Red Hulk, because that's all he can do. Like, he doesn't have a Hulkbuster, he doesn't have anything. So that was probably the only way this could have gone down. Another thing that I obviously don't like is that they added some Israeli superhero, which I don't honestly remember the name to, because they don't say her name enough in the movie, and I am not going to bother remembering her name because she's not an important character. But apparently she's also a Black Widow, so yeah, she's in this movie, and it's definitely interesting that Marvel would put an Israeli superhero fighting terrorists in this movie, when things outside of movies politically are very, you could say, mixed up. So I don't think that Marvel should have done something like this. The inclusion of that superhero was not welcome, in my opinion. And even when she's in the movie, she's not a very likable character. She's just very small. I think I googled her height actually, and she's 5 foot and 2 inches tall, and she is made to be like this black really capable agent taking down several men, like twice or four times her size, and it's definitely a bit difficult to watch. I mean, honestly, and this is like the third or fourth time that I'm rewinding this trailer, but yeah, okay. Honestly, I think that this movie was kind of alright. It was mediocre at best, and if you sit down and if you start pointing at the plot holes in this movie, this movie would have so many holes in this movie that it would be not pretty to look at. But yeah, this movie is obviously not something you could compare to The Dark Knight or the Winter Soldier. Like, those movies happen every once in a while. Like, they are the best of the best that superhero genre has to offer. Not every movie is going to be on that level. So this movie is just a mediocre superhero movie. And if I'm being honest, I enjoy mediocre superhero movies. If I'm being completely honest, I enjoyed the Black Adam movie. I also to some capacity enjoyed watching the Eternals movie. They have some action. They're not completely bad movies, but I think in today's culture, having a superhero movie that's completely mediocre and generic, I don't think you could survive if you made a superhero movie that's mediocre. So I think that's the big problem with this movie. It's that it's mediocre. It's not rising above that average line. And I do see the problem. Like, this is like the Marvel's flagship movie, and I keep saying the word flagship because this is the first movie that Marvel has released in a long time. So it had to be good. That's what people were thinking, but it ended up being mediocre. Again, like people went in with some really high expectations, but it just wasn't really that good. So yeah, I guess those are my thoughts about this movie after watching it. I can say I didn't really had too bad of a time with this movie. It was all right. I can't say that I absolutely hated it. It was just fine. I just turned off my brain and enjoyed, Anthony Mackie being Captain America. One more thing that I actually wanted to talk about this thing is that Anthony Mackie is again in this movie constantly talking about how he's not fit to be Captain America, which kind of just gets really annoying. Like, you are Captain America at this point. You had a whole season of 8 episodes to cry and mope about you not feeling like you're Captain America. It's a big nuisance that he's in this movie crying about the same thing, but he does get that resolved arc towards the end of the movie. At least I think I got it. When Walken gets injured and Sam visits him in the hospital, and Walken explains that he doesn't feel like he's able to fill the role of the Falcon, and he feels like he's not good enough. And then Anthony, like Captain America, hears him and he's like, wow, like this guy doesn't feel like he's good enough to be the Falcon. And obviously Sam Wilson feels the same thing. So obviously, like, I think that was a good point for this whole crying and moping to stop for Sam Wilson, because I think he should accept being the Captain America after that, because I think that was a really nice scene, and I think I don't want to hear Sam crying and moping about that anymore. But yeah, those are all the things that I can think about on the top of my head after watching this movie. So yeah, you tell me what you think about this movie. Did you like it, or what were your expectations walking into this movie, and what this movie delivered? Because I'm very curious about that. Like, what did you think? What was the perceived perception, and what was delivered to you? So tell me about that in the comments down below. And as always, it's time for a goodbye.